horse running in the Derby. Welcome everybody to Assiniboia Downs for day 14 on your racing calendar, and welcome to ASD Live with myself, Marshall, and Stretch, trying to pick some winners for you and maybe get a piece of that jackpot pick 5 that's currently over $330,000 going into tonight's card. There is some threatening skies around. We'll see if that comes into play for the handicapping in the 7 races that we do have this evening. The hot jock yesterday, Rafael Zentino Jr. had 2, and Jerry Gorno also had 2. Win number 500 and number 501 at recognized racetracks. His total is actually over 600, about in the 650 range. Congratulations to him from everybody here at ASD. What did you guys see last night?
Okay, so I just like everybody's feedback, good or bad. Send it in, send your picks, your thoughts. Thanks for watching, everybody. It is clear that the pick 4 is the way to go as the bet here at ASD. Yesterday you had 3 horses under $5.50. We had a long shot that figured. Both Kurt and Marshall mentioned some nice angles. That probably helped some people win the contest. And the pick 4 paid over $1,000. So find that long shot and it pays.
No doubt about that. Here we go. We're going to kick off the card with a $10,000 claimer for fillies, mares 3 and up that are non-3 lifers going the 6 furlong distance. Marshall, you can start us off in here.
Okay, sounds good, Kurt. Just want to reiterate the fact that does definitely look like some bad weather is rolling in. So if you want to pay attention to off-track records in your handicapping, probably a good idea. It is still sunny here, though, so we'll hold out hope. Okay, looking at this first race, you got a couple horses moving up in class, a couple others dropping down in class. From a race shape perspective, I think there could be a duel in here between number 2, Sheena, and number 6, Small Surprise. So I'm going to go with a couple of closers in here. Let's start on the outside, number 7, Wits Data Link. Thought she ran a good race in the Chantilly. Keep in mind that was for straight 3-year-olds, the same as that race 2 back, that overnight stakes race. However, sandwiched in between those 2 races, she ran a really nice race against Older. She breezed through that N2L condition. I don't think she's going to have any trouble in here at the N3L condition either. So I do like her on top. Let's take number 5, Storm Stride, as my second choice in here. She's no question, she's run some races that could win this one. She is coming off a 7-month layoff, but there's a steady string of works, and Jared Brown is actually 25% with these type of layoff horses. So I give that horse a shot too. The other horse I want to mention is number 3, She's Wicked Fast. This is a horse that I like to finish in the money. I don't think she'll get the win today, but definitely has a shot at 2nd or 3rd. She got absolutely slammed out of the gate last time by Sheena. She almost got knocked to the ground, in fact, but I thought she regained her balance, ran a really good race. Normally I'd reference her 2 for 22 record as a negative, but if you look, 11 of those races were actually on synthetic, so her dirt record is pretty good. She's got 2 wins, 3 seconds, and a 3rd from 11 starts, including an off-track win. That's not too shabby at all. So that's my long shot of the race. I'm going to go 6-5-3 to kick things off.
Okay, Stretch, over to you.
Okay, we're seeing the race quite a bit different. I don't think there is going to be a duel. I do agree that the horses that would be close to the lead. I like the 2, just the drop, basically the drop in class. Raced against I'm a Barn Cat, same horse as I'm a Barn Rat. So pay attention to that. I may get the name wrong again, but there's the horse that I think is the most speed. The 3-year-old filly on the 6 is a solid horse. This is a type of horse that Jared can get ready. I just think because it's a 3-year-old, is going to just chase, may need one. I'm going to certainly use this a little bit down the way. Or he may just chase around the track and run 2nd. If there is the duel, then comes the 5. There's a perfect angle for Jared. He's got the horse, not the poor races at Hawthorne, but you look back, he's had these type of horses. He knows how to turn them around and get them back. So if there is no duel, I've got it at the 2-5-7, hence that's why I've got the 7 for third and not on top like Marshall does, because I see the race going a little bit different.
Yeah, Stretch, I see this as a little bit of a wide open race in here. I think there is going to be a pace battle with Sheena, Swear Vengeance, and Small Surprise. If any of them do get loose, it changes the complexion altogether. But I think all of them have front end ability, and that's where they like to be. So I expect a duel to happen. So I have to go to a closer. I went to number 5, Storm Stride. This horse has a really nice work coming into the race, a half mile in 48, and has been working steadily coming up to this 10-on-3 lifer. Storm Stride has an off-the-pace running style. So far at Assiniboia Downs, 6 starts, 2 wins, a second and a third. The 2 fourth-place finishes. Who won the race? Hidden Grace, who's still undefeated. So Storm Stride wasn't disgraced in any of those races, has speed to run at, and I think is freshened up and ready to go. I throw out those Hawthorne races. We've seen Murray Duncan with a couple others that ran absolutely terrible at Hawthorne and Oaklawn Park, came back to win or run big when they came back to the Downs. So I'm expecting Storm Stride to run a big one today. I also like number 3, She's Wicked Fast. Had that trouble early on in the race, but ran an even effort. This is a much easier race than that first level allowance with Stevie Mack, and I'm a barn cat, like 4 notches, I think, below those kind of horses. So She's Wicked Fast. I love these a lot better. She's a horse that can sit right behind the speed and in a stalking roll can jump on top of them. And of course, you got to like Wits Data Link, the 7, but is back on very short rest, 7 days. But Jerry Gorno has been doing it every year that he comes here, especially the last 2 years. And Wits Data Link running really well, stakes placed with wins in between. I think those are the top 3 contenders. And Peeper, the other horse in the race that we didn't really talk about, sits way too far back to get a big piece of the pie. Now we're going to carry on to race number 2, a $2,500 claimer for 3-year-olds up, non-winners of the year, going 6 furlongs. Stretch, start us off.
Okay, just a quick reminder there, no pick 5 because we've got 7 races, so we're going to wait for that to the next race. Not an easy race at all. I am going to start with the 4 horse. I selected this horse last time. Antonio gave the horse a nice ride, made a move, got beat by a horse that likes to win, circled and took over. It wasn't a disgrace to run second to that horse for sure. What I do like to look at is he beat the rest of the field by over 3 lengths. So handily, that's a good sign rather than just being barely second. So out of the horses that have run in 2020, that's my horse to start with on top. Am I betting the horse to win? Probably not. Might be too low of a value, but we'll start there. The next selection is the 8 horse. If you look back in 2018 on this horse, was a monster in 2018 at ASD. What hasn't been off for 2 years, then raced at Marquis Downs, and basically raced in some allowance fields. Didn't win per se, but was good enough to say at least the horse was running. The horse is 9 years old, has had some average works. If is ready, can crush this field if anywhere close. I don't know if it may just need, the 9-year-old might need a start. We'll have to wait and see. There could be some value and go from there. The last one I'm going to select is the 2 horse. Makes the right drop. Had a poor effort, so why would I take that? Well, there's a really nice work in there. And so because there's races at Turf Paradise that make this horse a winner, I have to go back. You don't want to get caught by just focusing on the one race. Look at the whole picture of the horse. And this is where you could get a bit of an overlay because everybody's looking at that poor finish. So I've got it at 4-8-2.
Okay, Marshall, what about you?
I think this is a tough race. I'm actually going to go with a long shot on top here. I don't think there's a lot of speed in here, so I'm going to take the number 6, DJ Snow. Looks like the speed of the race to me. Only has 1 work, but hey, it's a bullet, so if you're going to only have 1 work, may as well make it a good one. The trainer actually has some solid numbers. If you look back to the sprint percentages in the 20% range. And then I get one of the top jockeys, Antino Jr. So you know what? There's no world beaters in this field. I could make an excuse for every single one of the horses. I'm not going to take low odds at all. So I'm going to go with the 6 on top, DJ Snow. 12-1 morning line. I think we should get all of that. The other horse that I will mention is number 8, Smart Copy, making for her first start of the year. Stretch talked about her being, you know, a good horse 2 years ago. The problem I have with this horse, on top at least, is that look at her record at the distance, 4 for 29, 13 seconds. So again, this is a horse that's probably best used underneath in my books at least. And then the other horse I like is the 4, which Stretch mentioned, Vending Machine. Horse hasn't won in a long time, went winless through all of last year, hasn't won this year, but had been facing tougher at Turf Paradise. Ran a good race last out, 3rd start off the layoff. So for me, definitely a contender, but at low odds. 6, 8, 4, Kurt.
Yeah, I like the 4 to hit the board in here, but I don't think it's a gut shot. I like Smart Copy. If you like any of the other Saskatchewan horses, they were in claiming races where Smart Copy was in the allowances and running very well. Ran 2nd beat in 3/4 of a length to Mr. Magic Please, first time out. And a lot of those seconds that the horse did have at the down Smart Copy was in the first level allowance and upper claiming ranks. So it never really got to hit the bottom. And I think that's going to be the key for Smart Copy, working really well for the debut. There is a little bit of pace in here. I think Marquis Well might show some. DJ Snow for sure will show early speed. But Smart Copy, I think this is the right spot to be at the right time of the year. And this horse definitely runs well fresh. So I like this horse to get a big part of it. I also like number 7, Street Map. Here's a horse around a good second. Again, to Mr. Magic Please, who was a multiple winner early on in Saskatchewan last year. Street Map is a closing type, and so that horse can get a piece of it. I see this race as wide open, but I'm going to 8, 4, and 7. Now we're going to carry on to race number 3, our featured race on the card. It's the 13th running of the Hazel Wright Sire Stakes, kicking off jackpot pick 5 wagering over $330,000 in the pick 5 pool. And we're going to start this one off with you, Marshall. Who do you like in here?
Okay, I like the way that we kick off these pick 3s lately. It seems like we've got a stakes race to kick off a lot of these races. Today we've got a restricted stakes race. This is actually my best bet of the day. I'm going to go right to number 4, No More Secrets. I really like this horse. This horse's last race. They added blinkers last out, and the horse improved, which was probably expected anyway, making her 2nd start. And she did have a bit of a bad start in her debut. So an improvement was definitely expected, but the blinkers seemed to add to that improvement. She pressed 3 wide, actually took the lead around the turn, and then tired late. The horse to her inside, the horse that ended up winning in that race, Divine Ride, was out of the 1 hole, and that horse was actually dropping in from maiden special weight where she had raced last year to the Manitoba bred maiden special weight. She was 3 to 5 on the board, so there's no shame in losing to that one. I think another step forward today, and I expect this horse to beat this field pretty handily. The other horse I'm going to go to is Kellyson, number 6. I think she can also take a step forward today in her 3rd start of the form cycle. She gets an extra half furlong today. I thought she was moving pretty well late, so I could see her actually getting 2nd in here. I want to mention the 5, Dazzling Gold. This is a firster, the only firster in the field. First foal to race. There is 1 unraced sibling, so really nothing to go on there, unfortunately. But for me, Kurt, it's 4 on top, and then 6 with 1.
Okay, Stretch, what about you?
Yeah, completely agree. The 4 horse is going to be a big favorite. There's no reason to see why this horse isn't going to improve. Was 3 lengths better than the rest of the field. The only horse I am going to add for an exactor to make it pay is the 3 horse. I really like the jockey change. Wilmer Galmez, you may not, as I'll get it right yet, is raced in Alberta. I've watched him race before. I like his racing style. Yesterday, may not have had one of the top horses in the race, but waited, and closed late. And that's how I think he's going to do here. He knows he's probably not the best horse. He's going to recognize the other ones may go a little too fast early, pick up the pieces late, and that's one way to make a little extra cash on this race, being that the 4 will be the big favorite. The 3rd horse, just briefly mentioned, I'll mention the 1. He was a troubled trip the first time out, then went to the lead. I think that this time we'll just sit behind the 4 and try to run for 2nd. If they tries to go for the win, then it completely runs out. So not really much to add other than maybe that long shot with the 3, 4, 3, 1.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I like the 4 to win the race in here, but I think it's going to play out like a little bit of a chess match. They're going to look at each other. Who's going to go to the lead? Opening quarter, 24-1. Sizzling Susie and No More Secrets, pretty well sitting beside each other. But I really like the way No More Secrets ran last time out. Gave Divine Ride everything she could handle and just lost by a lip at the wire. Antonio Whitehall on an absolute roll. I think it's the winner, and I'm thinking a Stone Cold Exactor, 4-1. Now we're going to carry on to race number 4, kicking off $25,000 guaranteed pick 4 wagering. It's an allowance optional $10,000 claimer that they're going to go 6 furlongs and Stretch. You're going to start us off.
Okay, great sequence for the pick 4. Big fields, challenging fields, should pay again. This is the race I'm looking forward to the most. Doesn't necessarily mean I know the exact winner. It's just certain types of fields I like it. Very excited to watch. I am going to start with the 2 Man of Blues. We saw yesterday Striders end up winning again. Solid effort. That horse is not in here. Any kind of repeat makes this horse tough. I think that field that Striders was in was a little tougher than this one. I think we're going to get a good trip just behind the speed and then take over late. Should be chasing potential as a stablemate of
Shelley Brown.
Shelley Brown with Stevie Mack, the mare on the outside. A great horse and a fun horse to watch. Very talented. It is a little bit weaker field this time against the boys. She has, I believe, beaten the boys once a couple years ago. Last year raced against the boys. It was just too tough a field. She has kind of changed her running style. Who knows? She may just try to go to the lead because Shelley has the 2 horses. Stalk the mare and try to take over will be the 2. So I've got those 2 kind of controlling the pace and figuring out from there. If you think something else is going to happen, I've got the 4 and 7 kind of equal. Both were in a bit of trouble last time. Both had a bit of a troubled trip. They're both going to be on my tickets. I've got the 4 to beat the 7 by a nose, simply for third, simply because I think the horse is going to be a little bit closer. Make this race 7 furlongs, and the 7 may even have been my key on top, but I just know the 7 likes a little bit longer. So I've got it at 2-8-4.
Okay, Marshall, how do you see it?
I see it in a very similar way to Stretch, I would say. At first I thought it was a really tricky race, and I could probably make a case for, well, at least half the field. So in that case, it is pretty wide open. But I keep coming back to number 2, Man of Blues. This was a horse that was claimed by Shelley Brown 2 races back. She moved him up to this optional claiming non-winners of 1 other than condition last time. I thought he ran a really good race. Stretch mentioned the horse that came back, or the horse that won that race, came back to win again last night, moving up to the 15,000 non-winners of 2 other than condition, and he won impressively again. I just think this horse, again, looks to me like should be really tough in here with a repeat of that race, and looking at his off-track record, he seems to like the slop, so keep that in mind when we go to post. The other horse, the outside, the mare, she did race twice last year against the boys. I wasn't that impressed. I don't know if she'll get the lead in here. She could if she wanted to, and if that's the case, she could also be tough. So you could be looking at a Shelley Brown exacta. But, you know, for me, I'm going to also throw in a long shot. Number 3, life's been good so far. This is a horse I bet last time. Disappointed, but I don't think, you know, he wanted to go 5 panels. So he gets an extra furlong today. They're going 6. I think the horse will definitely be running in the lane, has a work coming into this race, and is dropping in from that 15,000 non-winners of 2 other than condition. So throw in a decent long shot there. 2-8-3 in the 4th.
All right, I see a little bit of a pace battle between number 1, a little bit of Thunder, and Stevie Mack, who's going to be sitting nice and close, if not battling on the lead. And so I'm looking for a closer again, and I went to number 7, Tiger by His Tail. Was sitting way too close last time out, and yes, was shut off late down the lane by number 2, Mana Blues. But the tank was almost empty at that point, where Mana Blues sat off of it and made a run at him late. I think the fortunes are going to be changed. I think that Stanley Chady Jr. is going to take him off of it, and that'll be the perfect thing. If he's 4 or 5 off and it has to go with Mana Blues and they get to kick down the lane, this horse ran a great race first time out in a stake race and was shut off at the head of the lane. Sean Samuel had to stand up in the race and still finish 4th, only beaten 4 lengths in the photo for 2nd. So Tiger by his tail, look for a little bit of improvement. But what I like the most, we're going to get odds today. I'm taking 7, 2, and 8. Now we're going to carry on to race number 5, kicking off late pick 3 wagering. Scratch number 6, Alicia's Valentine. And on the 5, make the jockey, Kayla Pizarro. Marshall, take it away.
Okay, this race looks pretty straightforward to me, to be honest, guys. I'm going to go with number 1, Dandy Dean, taking a big drop to bottoms here after having raced in some stakes races last year. So it's pretty much now or never for Dandy Dean. Gets a trainer change, but Whitehall sticks, so that's positive. No work in 22 days, bit of a red flag. This horse will obviously be very, very low odds, so certainly not a win bet, but could be a potential key in your horizontal wagers. You know, the horse is only 1 for 16, but again, had been racing so much tougher. So it's today or possibly never. I also looked at the 4 Haida. Took a sneaky drop last time from N3L in her first start to the N2L condition. She was overmatched by 2 horses that were making their 2nd start of the year that had raced in Alberta. I thought she rallied nicely though for 3rd, and if she moves forward off of that race, definitely able to grab a piece of it for sure in here. I'm going to mention the 5, Bold and Foxy. This is the horse that looks like she'll be on the lead by herself. The question is, how far can she go? She was definitely in too far last time, going 7.5 furlongs. Gets a nice cutback today, but I still think the 6 furlongs is a little bit too long for her. I'd like to see her in a 4.5 furlong race myself. She's 0 for 6 at this distance and only 1 for 24 lifetime, so I think she's best used underneath. 1, 4, 5, Kurt.
Okay, Stretch, what do you like?
Well, Marshall made some good points on the 1. More importantly, the value and the worrisome of the drop. Was a stakes race previous year. First out, didn't show much, no work. Why should the horse improve? Maybe because of the trainer change. Pure class, that horse is the best. There's no argument there. I was weighed after the first thing. I was thinking before the race on the 5 horse last time from the 10 hole, knowing the horse didn't have that much of a shot being out there. This was a setup for a race exactly like this. So I didn't bet that horse was that time the 10. I was waiting for the next start. So I've got the next start. I'm going to get good value because on form it showed some speed and absolutely stopped. The 1 is going to get over bet. Certainly the 1 can win. There's no doubt about that. At $3.20, I'm willing to take a shot on potentially loose speed. I actually had the 1 in 3rd spot that far down, but the 6 got scratched. So I'll just move it up to 2nd. The other one, best of the rest, and Marshall basically mentioned, was the 4. If the speed stops or the 1 isn't right, I think the 4 can actually win the race. So I've got it 5, 1, 4.
Yeah, we've talked about the 1, 4, 5. Another thing on the 1, the 10-on-2 lifer condition has not been going. So this horse has been entered, but sitting in the box, waiting for a spot. Well, it could have waited another 3 weeks for that, work the horse, or you drop it. That's why I think this horse is here. The missing workout could have been the barn switch from the Jared Brown barn to the Colleen O'Hagan barn. So they didn't know what the trading pattern was, because whenever there's a barn switch, usually they don't share their secrets on the horses. So Dandy Dean's in a really good spot here. Another horse to point out, number 2, Nola's Sugar Plum. Duked it out with Swear Vengeance last time out. Swear Vengeance, the eventual winner, less than even money. So this horse could warm up Bold and Foxy early and maybe take over by the time they hit the head of the lane. Then it's going to be Dandy Dean and Haida coming. But I think it's a 4-horse race. But I like Dandy Dean on top with Nola Sugar Plum, the 2, and the 4 Haida. Now we're going to carry on to race number 6, his $5,000 claimer. For fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up that are non-3 lifers. Again, they're going 6 furlongs, and Stretch, you're going to start us off.
A good race. It's not an easy race, but I think you can narrow it down a bit to the main contenders. I'm going to start with horse number 1, Her name is which is perfect because I get names wrong, so I can just say that. So that's a good thing. Very nice race last time. Won handily. The figures say that the horse certainly can move up in the slight rise in class. It's not a big change. The horse is obviously has some gameness to it, and sometimes some of these horses that are stuck in this level are out of that and just are 1 for 20. Just ask Marshall, he points those out regularly to us. So that's a good thing. So I think it's going to be the right trip. The interesting horse, because I know the one is going to get bet quite a bit, is the 9. 9, if we had a little more time, I would have been showing the replay. You've got to watch the replay on the 9. The jockey seemed that the horse didn't like to be on the rail. Breaks maybe a half a step slow, moves up. It's rare that you see him pull out and go around horses from the rail that early. Makes a nice move, actually gets the lead at the top of the stretch, and then basically gets tired at the end. So a little bit better spot. I like the outside post because now the jockey doesn't have to kind of steer the horse through traffic and just sit out there, take over. Also like that the horse has a workout. So now there's reason to show that the horse is going to improve. And then the 5 is the last one I'm just going to add just because 12 for 46 in the third. And where else would he finish? So I've got it 195.
Okay, Marshall, what about you?
I'm on the same page, at least for the top 2. I like Her Name Is Thought she won stylishly last out. Looked visually impressive to me. I don't think she'll have a problem with the class race. Avalon also, I think, should get a good stalking trip from the outside. Has shown speed in much tougher races out east. So I think second start off the layoff definitely has a shot in here. The 8 to me is the invisible speed, so I don't really count that horse. I think the 9 can run her own race. I want to throw out the 2 also. I Spy My Little Eye. Looks a little interesting here. Takes that drop from 12-5 non-winners of 3. So she was facing tougher horses in there, and I like the jockey change. So if she shows some improvement, could jump up at long odds. I will make a quick note here. None of these horses have won on an off track, so a bit of a gamble to figure out who's going to like this slot. Kurt, let's go 129.
All right, and a couple other horses to look at. Number 3, Legendary Song, and number 5, Wit 7. Both coming out of the Jerry Gorno barn. Both ridden by Richard Mangali in their last starts. And both were closers in there, except for Wit 7 is dropping from a 5 non-4 lifer into the non-3. Last horse we've seen do this, Lionel Joseph's horse, and what happened? Got the win at short odds. Wit 7, I think, still needs more distance than the 6 furlongs. We'll have to definitely hope that there is a big pace in here so the closers get there. But the other one, Legendary Song, has been running well in every start, has been beaten by some good ones. Wit's Gatto 2 outs ago, and Elsie's Pride, who was very well meant last time out, with Terry's Temper right behind. Terry's Temper was in this race, another Gorno horse, probably go off as a favorite. So I think Legendary Song has a big shot. I'm liking 319. Now we're on to Super High 5 wagering. Here in race number 7, the carryover over $40,000. We have a $5,000 claimer for 3-year-olds and up that are non-2 lifers. Scratch number 6, the Fiddler's Green, and the 2 Outrigger will be ridden by Edgar Zentino. Marshall, start us off.
Okay, so had a 10-horse field. Now we have a 9-horse field to close out today's racing. I'm going to go to the outside horse, number 9, Strong Arm. I think today's the day he finally breaks through this condition. Horse that beat him last out, Ojo Del Mar, came back to win again this past Sunday night at Century Mile from an outside post. Now he doesn't really like to pass horses. That's the only negative about Strong Arm. He always seems to run a pretty good race, but he was wide last time, and he had a bad start in that first race at ASD, so he does have a couple of excuses. I think there's enough speed in here to set the race up for him. He's got a nice stock and pound style. He just needs to go past them at some point mid-stretch and not hang around for letting a horse pass him. But hey, Murray Duncan is off to a great start. He knows how to get a horse to the winner's circle. I think he gets there today with Strong Arm. A couple of invaders I'll mention for second and third. Number 4, Witt's Hurricane. This horse has been facing tougher, moving from a 2% winning trainer Barn to the Downs leading trainer in Jerry Gorno. So this horse takes a nice drop, could be there. Maybe the Invader from Finger Lakes is another dropper to consider. Let's finish things up with 947.
Okay, Stretch, how do you see it?
Well, it's the 9's race to lose. I'm going to just talk about one long shot that I think sets it up for a real nice exactor, and that's the 7 horse. Why the 7? Well, the numbers are pretty good at Finger Lakes. I don't think this horse has a chance to win, but I think he can simply just wait at the back where there's the other speed, pass him late. Morning line 12-1, doesn't look great on the form, but has been racing tougher. So sits back, runs the exactor, you get it the 9-7. The speed of the speed, I think, is the 5, so don't leave out the 5. If the 5 got away, that might be the horse that potentially could upset the 9. I don't see it happening, but if the 9 truly doesn't want to win, 5 could get away and steal it, so 9-7-5.
Yeah, I think 9 Strong Arm wins today. This is the perfect spot. I think Rocky Barbados goes after Easy Samurai. They both have the same running style. They bang it out, Strong Arms, a couple legs away, goes on by down the lane, and I think wins by about 5 in here. My exactor play is number 3, Captain John. Came out of the Gorno barn last time out, now over to Elton Dickey through the claim. This horse was beaten by 16 lengths running 4th. How could I like it for the exactor? Well, the horse that won more than stature would absolutely crush this field. I expect Warbridge to come and run a winning race very soon, as this horse has improved off its campaign in 2019. And Warren's Van Gogh last night was in the boys' stake, the Golden Boy, and ran a very credible race, only beaten 7.5, coming out of a little non-2 lifer against older horses. I'm thinking that's going to turn into a little bit of a key race. So I like Captain John to get a piece of it. I'm taking 9, 3, and 5. Good luck with all your bets here this evening, and we'll be right back for the changes on this evening's Card of Racing.